Well, it's a gray day, there's a light rain, but I'm not going to let that stop me. I'm heading over to Princeton Harbor. I'm thinking of trying out a limited palette of ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson, and cad yellow lemon. I'm figuring that because it's a gray day, I don't need any really strong colors, so I figure this will be a good day to go experiment with that limited palette. So I brought this little box out of retirement here. This is just like my bigger, folding box palette, but this one is a 9x12. I've got a bunch of these little tubes of alizarin crimson, so it'll feel good kind of using these up and getting rid of them. Okay, so titanium white, cadmium yellow lemon, alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue. So we'll see what I can do with this. So it was raining almost all the way over here, but I'm on the coast now and I can kind of see the harbor, and it looks like there's like a patch of blue skies over the harbor, so that's a surprise. Anyway, I'm gonna do the usual drill here and just try to find a place in this area for coffee, and then head over to the harbor. Okay, I think this will do. Okay, so I didn't try the food, but the coffee's really good. So now I've driven over to the harbor. I'm in Princeton Harbor in Half Moon Bay. And, I've been to this harbor many times before and tried to paint here. And I've never had any luck. But, today I just thought, well, I'll just give it a try and see if I can come up with something interesting. So I'm gonna do the usual and just kind of walk around with my viewfinder and see if I can come up with a composition. Then I'll come back and get my stuff. So we'll see what I could find. Well, I went out on the pier, but there was a lot of work going on, unloading fishing boats and whatnot, so it just felt like there wasn't really any place to set up. So now I'm just kind of walking around the harbor here, but I can't seem to find anything that would work. So I may go try to find some cypress trees or something. So I'm doing a lot of driving around today. It's kind of difficult finding something interesting with this gray, sort of flat light. But I'm driving around Moss Beach area, which is just north of Half Moon Bay, and kind of looking for some cypress trees. There's a road that was running along the top of the cliffs here, but it looks like because of erosion, it's starting to fall into the ocean. But I'm gonna walk out on the road and see if there's anything out there to paint. Okay, so I found this trail at the end of a road here. Sort of the road dead-ended, and then there's this trail that walks along the top of the cliffs. And I have no idea what's out here, but I just packed up all my stuff, and I'll find something. But just gonna get out here and explore, and looks like the sun's coming out too, so that's good. Okay, so I haven't found anything like super inspiring, but the sky's starting to clear, and I figure maybe I'll just experiment and do like a cloud painting. I'm not sure. So I'm all set up, and I'm just gonna get started and just kind of play around and see what I come up with. Okay, so this is not the kind of composition I would normally do, but I want to paint, and there's not much out here that really is grabbing my attention, so I'm just gonna kind of go with this sort of I don't know, basic kind of landscape. So like I said, this is mostly just experiment with the primary color palette. And I'm not using any medium today. Okay, so this is a mix of, well, obviously, there's not much choice here. So I'm using the ultramarine blue, and with some of the alizarin, and then a bit of the yellow to kind of make a dark blackish color. And there's these rocks kind of in the foreground here. How do you get down there?
Huh?
How do you get down?
Yeah, a little goat trail.
Oh, right over there?
Kind of just charge it.
Yeah,
There's no real way.
I gotta say, this limited palette is not really a problem. I'm having I've got plenty of color and plenty of headroom. I'm having to gray everything down, and I mean, I know it's like a gray day out here, but still, I'm just surprised. There seems to be plenty of color, and also I can get, even though I'm using a cool yellow and a cool red, I'm able to mix some warm tones pretty easily. So anyway, I'm just kind of having fun, not crazy about this composition, but again, it was just an opportunity to use the primary color palette. So now I'm just going to kind of, you know, play with what I got and see if I can turn it into a decent painting. Also, as I mentioned, I'm not using medium. I'm just like thinning a bit with mineral spirits, and it seems to be working fine. It was sort of a challenge because I've gotten out of the practice of mixing things like earth tones, but it only took a few minutes to get back into that habit. And so it'll be good to live with this painting for a couple days. We'll go back and take a look at it and see how it came out. But it seems like I got plenty of color, plenty of value range. I don't really see any shortcomings at all, to be honest with you, at this point. I thought I would need cerulean, but I was able to lighten the sky and create a sort of a cerulean by adding just a touch of lemon yellow to the ultramarine. It's not like quite a saturated cerulean, but it seemed to work okay. So yeah, I'm gonna definitely experiment more with this. Okay, so here's what I came up with, and I'm outdoors, and the sun has gone down and the fog's come back, so it's not as radiant as it would be if it was had better lighting. But what I was focusing on was, you know, trying to get some interesting brushwork in the clouds, and then as you can see in here, I was able to get a sort of a warmer, lighter, almost a cerulean sort of color in the sky there, just a warmer blue. And then obviously moving towards the ultramarine up at the top. And then in the water, you know, I was able to get plenty of blue-green in the water. These were this was kind of these rocks or like a submerged reef. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but overall, you know, it came out better than I thought that it would. And like I said, I'm not crazy about this kind of composition. You know, but I usually look for like big shapes, but the clouds are kind of some big shapes, and those were fun to play with. So I think the next step is going to be trying to paint something, subject matter that has more saturated colors, possibly some architecture, or maybe even just a still life. So maybe I'll do that in the near future. But like I said, it was a good time. I love experimenting like this. It's like sometimes fun to go out and just do something that's you know, out of your ordinary routine. So this definitely fit the bill for that. And yeah, it was a good time. So thank you guys for hanging out. And as usual, big thank you to my Patreon supporters. Much appreciated. If you'd like to help support the channel, there's a link to my Patreon account in the description below. And other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video.